Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to get started this morning. We have a really full agenda and some very informative speakers and some interesting topics and things that we're going to be sharing and talking about today. So first of all, I'd like to invite Pastor Jeff Wells from Faith Christian Family Church to come up and say our opening prayer.
Good morning. How are you this morning? Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this time that we can be together this morning, and thank you so much for Lapeer. Thank you so much for our businesses, and just speak a blessing over them right now. And I just thank you for our municipalities and all the work that they do. Thank you so much for them, and thank you for this great city that we live in. Lord, bless our time together this morning in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jeff. And very quickly, for those of you, I'm going to put her on the spot, who haven't met her, Jenny Mateen is the new administrative assistant with the chamber. Some of you have already met her, and some of you have spoken to her, and she's a wonderful asset. And Pam is here, and she is back doing events and things with me in the chamber. And I want to thank all the ambassadors also who are here and who are helping with the events and the things that we do with the chamber. So, a couple things. Advertising information is in your guest bags for the 2020. This is a chamber business directory only featuring chamber member businesses. 5,500 are distributed out throughout the county throughout the year. There are advertising opportunities in this particular piece. It's the only one of its kind that only features chamber member companies to the community. So take a look at that information. That is in your bags. We've also been sending out reminders, and also a letter went out to remind you to go to our website or fill out the member update form, because this time of year it's a key for us to be able to have updated information on your business. If there's a new contact person that we need to know about, physical location. Also, if you have a P.O. box that you've switched to for mailing purposes. So we need those updates. Very easy to do that online on our website. That information was mailed out, and then we are also sending email reminders out. We've also sent out a survey about Wake Up Lapeer, so if you've received it and haven't responded and filled it out, we'd appreciate it, because we want to get our attendance up and we want to provide things that our members find useful and informative. So please let us know. We're looking for speakers for our schedules for next year. So if you have a topic, a field of expertise that you would like to share with businesses that would help benefit them, if it's marketing, branding, advertising, employment law, tax law for businesses, any of those types of things, we'd love to hear from you. And there's a save the date reminder in your bags. Also, our annual holiday mixer will be this year, December 5th, and that's going to be at Lapeer Country Club. We are partnering with them this year. And as always, again, it will be a fundraising opportunity and event as well for Holiday Depot, for donations of gifts and clothing and those types of things for families in need in Lapeer County, and also for the Sunrise Kiwanis Backpack Program. If you're unfamiliar with those programs, I urge you to Google them and look them up. The Backpack Program provides nutritious food for children in need, so that they have food to eat over the weekend in their homes. And then Holiday Depot is very far-reaching in helping families during the holiday season. It's not just gifts, but it's also providing food and meals and things for them as well. So the last couple of years we've done that. We've had just a tremendous response, and it's been extremely wonderful to see everybody giving and giving back and helping others in the community. November 11th, Veterans Day, there will be the Veterans Ceremony at Veterans Park. And then we have our Princess Meet and Greet event that comes up in November. And we are going to be starting our Light Up Lapeer campaign. For those of you who don't know what that is, the Chamber decorates the entire downtown for the holiday season. The Santa House, Santa Claus, the tree on the lawn, the courthouse, everything you see, all of the lights, all of the decorations. It's a huge effort. So we rely on support from businesses and people who live in the community to help us accomplish that goal. So we're going to be starting that here very soon. I know it's only September, but we have to have all this accomplished, installation, fundraising, everything, so that that switch is turned on for Thanksgiving weekend, which begins the holiday season. So it's our pleasure to beautify our downtown and celebrate the holiday season, and that's how we give back and help in the community. So we're a busy office, lots of things going on. So I am going to cut it off right there, and then I am going to introduce our first guest speaker, Lapeer City Police Chief Dave Frisch.
Thank you, Nita. Good morning, friends. 2 years ago, in July of 2017, I was fortunate enough to be invited to come and speak here. I'd just been appointed Chief of Police, and I came and I stood here and I talked about a lot of things that we were going to do. So I asked Nita a couple of months ago if I could get on the agenda to come back and tell you the things that we have done. Under the guidance of Lapeer City Commission and the daily stewardship of City Manager Curbison, we've been able to accomplish a lot. I had set out some goals for us back in 17, and we have surpassed them. I'm very, very proud of my coworkers at the department. They have really embraced a lot of the changes that we've done. So I just thought I'd go over a few of those things so that we could recommunicate and reconnect. One of the things that we did, we've always had a student resource officer in the city of Lapeer since 1990. Way before you heard about other police departments doing that, we had a full-time police officer in Lapeer Community Schools in the city. We now have 2 of them. One covers the high school CFI, that is Officer A.J. Wetzel, and the other one is Officer Brian Wenzel. Can't make it any less confusing than that with Wetzel Wenzel. And covers Roland Warner, Chatfield, Turl, and Bishop Kelly, St. Paul's. It's a great program, but sometimes when we think about a student resource officer, our mind quickly goes to that it's just a security situation. It's just a cop in the school. Nothing could be farther from the truth of what these 2 gentlemen do. Team program, teaching, educating, and mentoring. It's the replacement program from DARE. They're both instructors in it. It's a great program that actually has benefits and instructional lessons right from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. One of the big goals of the program is we reach the students when they're in kindergarten. We reconnect with them when they're in the elementary, when they're going through that transitional period that we've all made it through in our lives, from leaving your cozy elementary and going off to junior high, middle school. We reconnect with them again. And then at the high school level with formalized programs. But most importantly, the 2 student resource officers are there for the everyday contact. All of us understand that those connections that we make, no matter what our business is, that creates sustainability. That creates confidence. That creates friendships. All of those things are critically important as we look at things going forward. Another thing they do is they teach a class called Stop the Bleed. It's very simple. We've all experienced at some point in time in our life where someone has had something to them when they get cut, whether it's a car accident, whether it's some other type of accident. And we don't always know what to do. We fall back to what our parents taught us. Grab a rag, hold it on to it, and go from there. This takes it to the next level. Some different things that they can do. And God forbid, should there be some major catastrophe, what would be better than everybody in this room having some training? So we take it to the next level, too, and we teach CPR and first aid. I have 2 instructors. We went out and purchased all the equipment. We have all the mannequins. We have the simulated AEDs. And we instruct that. Let's face it, most of us in here have children. I don't know when I might be in need of their services, but if I do, I hope that they know how to do it. So we're teaching that. It's easy, it's simple, and it's important. Vaping education. When the vaping situation started developing, we got extremely proactive with it. We developed a program, and we touched every child in our district with this program and putting it out to them. Not going at it to scare people, but to educate. This is what it is. This is what you can expect to happen from that. We're currently updating that program because I think most of us are aware the laws and the regulations on this have changed so that we are current with that. Lockdown secure modes in the schools. They all have them. They all have a program for it. We've gone to the next step with our SROs to work with the teachers, the administrators. We put on programs with them. This is what is expected. This is what the difference between the two of us is. I think we all at our business, sometimes we have policy A and policy B, and they're almost identical and can get confusing. But if you really get into the nuts and bolts of it, they're two very different things. And how you deal with any confusion like that is through education. So we have meetings with the staff. We have meetings with the administration to make sure that we are all on board. And we have an extremely strong working relationship with our schools. The police department and the schools, we have constant communication back and forth because communication stops misinformation right there, and it just works really well. Some new programs that we've come up with. We are involved in the Hope Not Handcuffs program. It's a great program. This is not a diversionary thing that affects at all how the police are dealing with any of the criminal charges that may come along with it. What this is a program where someone that has gotten the courage to step up, to say, I need help. This situation has overtaken me. I can't handle this on my own. There's police departments all over the place. We haven't closed since 1858, so we're always open. They can find us. They come in, they ask for the help, we get it started. We started the program the next day we had our first person come in. We are able to set them up with a program. They have a responder that they call them angels that come out and they take over. It actually has the benefit for the police that this person comes in, they're specifically trained in how to help this person. We can turn them over to them with confidence and get back to other things that we need to do. Drug take-back box. Everyone thought that we had one and we didn't. And now we got a really nice one. And we've had it for about a year and a half. In that year and a half, we have taken in 140 pounds of narcotics. Now think about what one pill weighs. One pill weighs nothing. Nothing. 140 pounds, to kind of put it in perspective, the things that we hear sometimes in the media, we always hear the word kilo. That's 63 kilos of drugs. If we got 63 kilos, we would be all over the news. But we got it one small pill at a time. And that is from a community stepping up and saying, we don't want this sitting in our medicine cabinet anymore. These things that we hear about that happen to people, they're true. I don't want to be a part of that, so I want to get rid of this. But how do I do it? How do I get rid of the stuff? We now have a mechanism for that. Hope Not Handcuffs, drug take-back box work hand in hand. Hand in hand. There'll be a national drug turn-in day, drug take-back day coming up here in the near future. If you hear about it, just remember, if you have something you want to get rid of, you can come to Lapeer City Police Department and do it. We have a department service coordinator. This is a volunteer position. This gentleman that we have is trained in all levels of counseling, from grief counseling to marital counseling, to suicide prevention counseling. He has a lot of training. He came to us. We embraced the program. So now we have another alternative that we have in our bag of tricks when someone needs some assistance. It's very difficult to go to someone's home and tell them that they have lost a loved one. It's tragic to the family. We have now a service that we can provide to them beyond the traditional law enforcement. But also, we have a service that we can provide to ourselves. Every once in a while, things, and it's normally not one thing when someone's having an issue, it's things that have built upon other things over the course of time. So now we have someone that they're comfortable with because he comes in and rides with us all the time. So if all of a sudden he were to show up on a Tuesday to ride with someone, it doesn't set off any red flags. That's just, he's just here. It's great for us. In your packet, I had put some, a couple of different things that are stapled together. The first one you're going to see is a little card. One side of it looks really great. That's from your Lapeer City Police Department. The other side of it's kind of nuts and bolts stuff. It's Alert Lapeer County. It's a great program. It's through Nexel. It came online, I'm going to say it's probably 8-9 months old. When I found about it, we jumped in both feet with it. And what it is, it's so simple. You just you bring up your text message thing on your phone, you type in the number that is there, and it automatically links you to something, and you can join it. What it is, it's an information dissemination product. It's how I can instantly get out to you, and you can know what's going on. Some of you may remember we had a little incident that happened down in the city with some gas that actually got into the system and caused some eruptions in there. This was one of the mechanisms that we use to instantly get the message out to people, so you know what's going on. Recently, I-69 was shut down for a power line out there, not in the city of Lapeer, but diverted traffic into the city of Lapeer. We use that for that. I got 2.5 minutes left, so I got to speed it up just a little bit. Also in there is information on some fantastic programs that we have that deal specifically with your individual business. I have a guy that's trained to come in. All of these things are at no cost to you. He'll come out to your business, give you a personal security assessment of where your business is sitting at in the world. We'll make recommendations, and that's all that they are, and you can implement them. Another program, we do CPR, AED training for free. All of your employees be certified through the Red Cross. In there, you will also see that I have a program for active aggression customer trouble. It's a very simple program just to give your employees some skill sets, especially your front-end people, the people that are right at the door or answering the telephone, just to give a little bit of skill set to build upon the ones that they already have for how to deal with conflict. And then the active threat response training. And those are all out there in that packet for you can read. Partnerships that we've got going, Metamora PD. We have a very, very high-tech fingerprint system, very expensive. Many of the departments can't afford the initial cost of that. Reached out to Metamora Police Department. They helped us purchase the equipment and share a portion of the ongoing maintenance costs with them. It made it more tolerable for everybody. The Sheriff's Department, Scott, Jeremy out there doing tremendous stuff. These are good dudes. And we work very, very closely with them. Right now we're in looking at something called a total station, which is for dealing with car crashes and major crime scenes. Again, very expensive, but we're going to do it together. I'm going to have to cut down a little bit in my program here. The department, we're out there in the community. Lapeer Days, we're not policing, we're participating. We were involved, we were engaged, and we're going to keep doing that. Got 4 new officers. Great, great people. We hear all these things about millennials and all of that stuff. Any negative that you could give me about any generation, I can give you 10 positives. These are great, great kids. Don't be afraid to come up and engage them. I'm telling them to engage you, but that is not one of their strengths. But they can learn from you, and they will grow from there. We continue to address the opioid crisis. That is a major, major problem. We are still dealing with the overdoses, although that's coming down. The overdose deaths are coming down. I can't take credit for that. We are trying some things, but mostly what it is groups like FAN that have gotten involved, put pressure on. The Narcan is available. It's saving lives. Some of those incidents when it is used, we don't hear about them. They're still there. We are working with every aspect, everything that is available to us to deal with that situation. And friends, progress is being made. I really, really appreciate the time that I was given to come in here and speak to you. I'm going to stay here afterwards. If someone has any questions, please come and see me. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. We'll have to get...
Mention this 100 Club thing.
Okay, Dave said, is this in the bags? Did you give us this? In the bags?
No, but the 100 Club, I'll explain it if you come on over. We've got a function tonight from 5 to 8 at White Horse Inn.
Oh,
Stop on over and I'll explain it to you. So let's see it there.
okay. Free food. I'm in. All right, our next guest speaker, Jared Field, from the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Jared is going to come up and talk to us a little bit. We all know and have read and heard, if we haven't, you're living in a box under a rock, about the bond proposal in November. So he is going to clear up some misconceptions and help us understand things about that a little bit better before we vote.
All right, well, I can't assist you with anything too technical. But my name is Jared Field. I'm the Communications Director for Lapeer Community Schools. I'm here in Matt Wandry's stead. He is at the MASA conference up in Traverse City. So it's an honor to be here. I was a big fan of Wake Up San Francisco when I was a kid, so this is pretty cool. Nobody understands that reference? All right, so if you have one of these, can you pull it out for me? Should be in your bag. This is an informational card that we've been passing out all over the community. This really has all the nuts and bolts about the Lapeer Community Schools bond proposal. This gives you the cost, this gives you the structure that is sort of funded by the bond proposal, and all the information you need is contained in here. So I want to start with a quick question. How many of you would say you kind of generally understand what a bond proposal is? I'll start with that. What is a bond proposal? Does everyone have a pretty good idea of that? I found that a lot of people are a little bit foggy on this whole concept, but this is a group of movers and shakers, so I assume you guys understand, so I'll skip over that part. But how many people here would say they know enough about what we're offering with the bond proposal? I see several hands. So that's part of my job. I can't tell you how to vote. I can't sort of expressly advocate for this bond because that would be illegal, and there's members of law enforcement in the room here. But what I can do is tell you sort of how we put this together over the course of a year, what's in it, and what it could mean for the community. So this is a bond proposal that really had its beginnings about a year ago. We did all kinds of community events. We did community forums. We did community focus panels and focus groups. We talked to over 600 people in the community to take their input and to put it inside of this proposal that sort of, it's a proposal on one hand because the bond obviously funds what we're going to do in the future if it passes, but it's also a structure that's attached to it. So we believe it's a structure that can really transform our school district. It's one that right-sizes the district, and it's also one that allows us to take our resources and focus them into a much bigger and much better academic program. So for those of you who don't know, it's $94.9 million, which, fortunately, because we are in Lapeer, we have a very high taxable value in this community. So it's roughly $1.4 billion of taxable value within our district, which puts us at an advantage because in order to get $94.9 million, we need only to ask for 1.94 mils. So that's a very small ask when compared to many other school districts in our area and, of course, in Oakland County and Genesee County. So I want to stop there. Is there any confusion on anything that I just said about the bond? 1.94 mils, in essence, is $1.94 for every $1,000 of taxable value on your home. Not your SEV, not your market value, and that's another thing that confuses a lot of people. I get calls at my office a lot saying, well, my home is worth $250,000, so this is going to cost me a whole lot of money. And I'll say, sir or ma'am, it's actually the taxable value, which for many people, especially in Lapeer, is very low, significantly lower than their SEV if they've lived in their home for a long time. So needless to say, This is a bond proposal that we're very excited about, not the least of which being the cost of it is so, what we believe, affordable for the average person in the community, and what we're getting for it is so transformative that how could we not be excited? And I can't go any farther than that because I can't, technically. So, are there questions about the bond? Anything that's in your literature? Questions that you've heard in the community? Criticisms that you've heard? What's out there? There's stuff out there. I know there is. Who's got the first question? Okay, I'll make up a question. Jared, is there a performing arts center in this school bond proposal? That's a great question. Yes. There is a performing arts center, 650-seat performing arts center, that is a part of the bond proposal. The bond proposal does also include security upgrades throughout the district, technology upgrades throughout the district, renovation of the East Campus so that we can put the majority of our elementary students in that facility and then focus more resources on one elementary program. A new high school, as you've heard, which will be at the CFI campus, where our athletic complex is already, and a few other things. More questions?
I've seen people ask,
Emily! Hi. Mm-hmm. Oh, that is a dream of ours. An influx of tons of kids in the community. Well, fortunately, if that happens, please, we do have room for an influx of students. We absolutely do have a room for influx of students. Now, one of the reasons why we've taken as long as we have to plan for this is because there are all kinds of things that we have to plan for. And that's one of them. What if, by some miracle, we get an influx of students into our community? We have space for them, and we will have space for them in the Lapeer Elementary, which would be under this plan at the East Campus, and of course at the new high school, etc. So one thing we don't have in this community is a small amount of facilities. We have plenty. Even with the ones that we've closed and sold over the years, we have plenty of space. Yes? Well, we've been slowly but surely going down in terms of our enrollment. So we're now in the range of around 400 graduating and 300 coming in to replace them. So roughly 400 graduating seniors and 300 incoming kindergartners, which kind of gives you that disparity of 100. For a little while there, it was around 200, 300 coming in and 500 leaving, which is obviously not good for the budget. It makes it very challenging every year when you start the year with $1 million or $1.5 million sort of that you have to make up for. So it's a good question. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you have a number of how many children leave our school district to go to other school districts?
I do not have a number. I do know that we do lose some students to, for instance, outlying school districts because our district's like 225 square miles. So there are plenty of people that live in our district who live a lot closer to, let's say, North Branch or let's say Oxford. We do get a lot of students from Lakeville. That would be the school district that we get the most from. But I don't have that exact number. But we also do get a lot of people coming in through our non-traditional programs like the Lapeer Homeschool Partnership or our virtual program.
Jared, so let's go beyond the structure of a new building and new high school to what this means for our county, our community to be school districts and what that means bottom line overall for the economic.
Yes, and Nita and I actually talked about this the other day at her office. So this kind of keeps me up at night sometimes because I believe that what we've done in our district over the last 10 years has been really transformative in terms of the academic offerings that we are offering our students. And the idea that anyone would think less of our school district and what we offer because of what some of our facilities look like, that's really bothersome to me. And I know it's bothersome to a lot of our teachers and a lot of our employees. So this could be obviously huge for the community in terms of raising the profile. There's no doubt about that. There was a question back here? We would be going from a 3-tier system to a 2-tier system. under this new structure. And our replacement schedule for buses is generally 8 per year. That's the number that we need in order to keep our fleet healthy. We'd only been replacing 4 a year for the past several years just because of budget considerations. So we built in 40 buses to the bond. And I don't know for 100% sure how it will affect the bus run times, but there's really not a whole lot we can do for bus run times other than buying a whole bunch more buses and having a whole bunch more runs, just simply because of the sheer size of the school district. It's one of the larger school districts in Lower Michigan. It's a good question. Yes?
How long, if the bond passed, how long from the time of making all the changes to the completion of all the projects?
The goal start date would be fall of 2022. So the 2022-2023 school year. My goodness, I can't even believe I'm saying that. Of course, I made a Full House reference earlier, so I guess you know how old I am.
That's when the renovation construction would start.
No, that's when it would be completed. Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Andrew.
When is the last time a bond proposal increase has passed?
Increase? Well, we had a 2007 bond, which did pass, but that was not an increase. So I guess long before I was born was the last time there was an increase. But we currently have a debt levy here of 2.75, which is the lowest in the county. So, and if this bond were to pass, 1.94 mils on top of 2.75, we would still have the second lowest in the county. The only one that would be lower would be Dryden. I can't say that, but I appreciate you saying it. Any other questions? Well, again, I can't tell you how to vote, but I want you to vote with all the information that you need. So if you want a copy of our frequently asked questions document, I've got probably 10 or 15 of them over here. You have this in your bag, and there's all kinds of information on the district website, lapeerschools.org. Click on the bond proposal graphic, all kinds of stuff on there, facts, figures, articles, documentation. We're very transparent. Everything you need to know is on there, and you can always come to my office. You can always come to Matt's office. We have an open door policy. My door hasn't been shut since 1858, Chief. So come on in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared. I think one thing we have to remember too, and I know typically a lot of times we get caught up and I hear people say, well, I don't have kids in school anymore. I don't have grandkids in school anymore and so on. But it's about so much more than that. If you think about economically how it will enrich our community, and we'll be bringing families here who will work here, who will live here, who will raise families here, who maybe open businesses here. So overall, it's about a very big picture. So, please seriously think about it when you go to vote. Okay, so we're going to do something different. So everybody's got their name tags on, had it in our emails. So for the next 15 minutes, we are going to cut out a section of time here for all of you to get up, meet somebody who you don't know, you haven't met. On your tables, there is a list of everybody who is in attendance today. So if you have other questions for the chief or for Jared or whatever, we'd like everybody to get up out of your chairs right now and go around and start introducing yourself to other people who you haven't met, and representing yourself, your business, your organization. So get ready and go. Okay, our next speaker is Kelly Bales. She's the director of the Greater Lapeer Transportation Authority. So I'm going to have Kelly come up right now, and she has a short video to show us about a Vets to Wellness program that's available to veterans in our community. And so she's going to share that information with you. There you are. Andrew will start your video when you let him know.
Okay. Well, we can do the video right now. Can we start it? Thank you, Andrew.
Vets to Wellness is a personalized transportation service for veterans and their spouses living in Genesee, Lapeer, and Shiawassee counties. This easy-to-use service is designed to safely transport veterans to medical and health-related appointments and other community resources. Veterans and their spouses may be eligible for free rides. Vets to Wellness offers customized transportation solutions based on each rider's specific needs and ability. Call Vets to Wellness and start riding today.
So that's a commercial that is actually running on different networks right now, so I'm not sure if anybody has seen it, but it is a program that we are working with MTA and also SATA, which is Shiawassee County. MTA is actually Genesee County's transit. Governor Snyder 2 years ago had started a mobility challenge, and we all met together as transits and decided that we wanted to honor our veterans. So anybody that actually is a veteran in here, I do honor your service, so thank you very much for that. I'm going to kind of give a caveat because speaking in front of people is not my expertise, but because I love this program, I am way out of my comfort zone doing this. So, but the Vets to Wellness program is actually a grant that we have. We were able to get just a little under $1 million for this grant. With that, we were able to get the vehicles that we needed to be able to transport the veterans. Currently, GLTA has two completely mobility accessible vans. So mobility needs are not going to be something that is going to tell us that we can't take somebody to an appointment. Wellness for this grant is not just going to the doctor's appointment, because as we know, there's many parts of everybody that is sitting in this room's wellness, which would mean even going to the grocery store, going to a job interview, going to the pharmacy. This program is actually not just for veterans, because during the time that that veteran is serving, so is their family. So we extended it to the spouse and also a surviving widow. The only thing that a veteran and or, a widow would have to do to qualify is they just have to be living in Lapeer County and an honorably discharged veteran, or their spouse had to be an honorably discharged veteran. So those are the only two small requirements. We do go GLTA, stays in Lapeer County for the most part, but with this program, we are able to go to all of the VA hospitals, so like in Saginaw, Detroit, Ann Arbor, we go to the CBOC in Flint, and then there's also one in Yale, because I know a lot of our veterans in Lapeer go up to the Yale CBOC. It's a little bit more, less congested. So we are able to do all those transportation needs. It is a personalized service like the commercial said, so the only people that are in that vehicle is the veteran, any companion that they have. With them, we take them to the appointment, and then from that appointment, that driver will actually wait for them and then bring them back to their home or to wherever they originated from. It's a door-to-door service, so we actually dispatch that van, and we will take that driver will actually go right to that door and help somebody. We cannot go through the door. That puts a whole nother caveat on what we can do, but we at least will help them from that door into the van, from that van to their appointment, so that way we know that they're secure and that they've gotten to where they needed to be. The reason why we wait is so that there's no confusion, so they don't have to be concerned that there's not a ride for them coming back when they need to come back. And that's all built into the grant. Currently, because my whole concern is sustainability, because to me this is something that is a passion of mine, helping the veterans of Lapeer County, there has been 3 outside donors. One was the Knights of Columbus, the Emily City Rotary, and then actually a rider of regular GLTA, which is just a individual that actually has donated to be able to add to the rides that we have. With the grant we have $7,500 through the grant that we were able to provide and are able to provide free rides. So with the extra money, we were able to sustain that just a little bit longer. Our hopes is that is what we're going to be able to do, that this is going to be just a normal thing that GLTA is going to be able to provide for years and years to come for our veterans. Again, we can go into all the different counties. I'm trying to think exactly. So, I'm getting nervous here, sorry. Thank you. Yeah, to Genesee and Shiawassee County. Most of our veterans aren't needing to go into Shiawassee County, but we have, taken them into Genesee and so forth. But in our first month that we started, which was in July, and for GLTA, this is starting from ground zero because we did not have a veterans program before. We actually, for our funding for GLTA, that wasn't even a question that we asked our riders, are you a veteran? So we had to start from ground zero, and with that, in July, we had 64 rides. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but from zero, that was quite a bit for us to be able to do that. Last month, we were able to more than double that, so we had 170 rides. So very excited that we were able to keep building. Some of the passengers to be able to pull out the amount that they are able to use through that course of that month still decide to ride on the bus, but those are still free rides for them. So at this point, there hasn't been any rides that actually have cost anybody any out-of-pocket money, and it has been able to help those veterans to be able to get to where they needed to go. I'm here and doing presentations just saying, not just for the money part of it, because that is not in the back burner as far as I'm concerned, but everybody in this room knows, 2-3 people that could pass this along to a veteran, because again, just because there's commercials and me talking and billboards and literature that we have, you guys know people that maybe could benefit from this service, and so that's my outreach that I'm looking for, is for you to tell, maybe 1 or 2 other people, so that way that veteran that is sitting home that missed their doctor's appointment because they didn't have transportation, they didn't have a daughter or son or neighbor, that they felt that they could ask and reach out to them, because a lot of times it's a pride thing that we are able to take them, so that way their daughter or son that is working doesn't have to miss work. And maybe it's not every appointment, but maybe it's just that one appointment. We had one veteran that actually came in and signed up, and he said, I drive everywhere I need to go, but I have an appointment in Ann Arbor that he had to have shots in his eyes. And he goes, I can't drive for this appointment, and I don't have anybody to take me. So that appointment, we were able to take him. It might be a one and done for some, of our veterans, but that we were able to at least get him to where he needed to go. Does anybody have any questions for me? I would love to.
Do you guys work with VCAT?
We do. Again, for me, this is something new, so we're starting to work in with all the different programs. Actually, working with the local Veterans Affairs office. Their office gave us the first referral for our first veteran that actually went out on the road. So, yes.
I didn't hear if there was an age.
There is no age. It just is a veteran. And I'm not sure why we didn't add active duty, because somebody still could be in active duty and still need a ride, but that was not something at this point in the grant, so it does have to be somebody that is a veteran at this point. Hopefully that's something that, when you are think tanking through this, that was something afterwards that I actually had thought about, somebody that was active duty might need this assistant as well. But during this first 6 months, it is only for veterans and their spouses and a surviving widow. So these, yes.
One of the things that you pointed out, that many veterans who need help, desperately need help, are too proud to ask for it. They just won't, and they may be suffering out there. And if we can identify those individuals, we will contact them and help them out. It's very important to know that. So,
Right.
you're doing good work.
I have 2 drivers. We have 2 vans. Again, I think they have right around 1,500 miles, so they're very nice. And we work with them one-on-one, so we do try to make it as simple as we can to get them to be able to get signed up into the program and get out on the road if they need to be. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly. What an amazing program. I know for a lot of us, if you've ever had your car broken down where you were without transportation for even a day, a couple of hours, it drives you crazy. So you can imagine what it's like for a lot of veterans who are maybe physically unable to drive any longer, or their health is in such a state that, like the gentleman who had the eye appointment, it can be very frustrating. So this is a wonderful program. So thank you, Kelly. So we are going to have our sponsor, Deb Marquardt from Holiday Depot. And again, she's going to talk a little bit more about the program that I'd mentioned earlier, which we do some fundraising through our annual holiday event. So she'll elaborate a little bit more. Here you go, Deb.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. I calculated last night. Did you know that there's only 98 days left before Christmas? I went, oh. But I actually like the thought of when I refigured it at 3 months and 7 days. That sounds better to me. More time to get ready. We've served, it varies over the years, but last year it was 402 families. It's been 420. Hit right around the 400 the last few years. A few years back, it was 800 families when there was more families in Lapeer County. But we work in the whole county, so it's not just the city. Our storefront, however, is right next to the chamber. So we've had that opportunity there for 4 years, and we're going to be there another 3. I just renewed the lease. Anyway, hopefully most of you have heard about Holiday Depot. We're a Christmas program that gives gifts and food or whatever their needs, personal needs, to many families, low-income families. And in many cases, this is just young families. You know, your income is only so much when you're first starting out, so it just varies. But how it is that they come in and they sign up at one of our 9 various locations. They fill out an application. They all come back to our storefront, and they're reviewed, and then about half of those families are adopted by various churches, organizations, other families, all of you. They adopt half these families, and then the other half come to our storefront. We have a lot of different facets within our program. We have 42 barrel locations out within the community. And so when you're out shopping or you're at a doctor's office or wherever our barrel may be, please drop a gift into that barrel, and those gifts come back to the storefront. And that's how our families come into our store to shop. All families are given a dollar amount depending upon how many children are in the household. Then they're given hats and gloves, personal items, books, whatever we receive extra from donations. Now you can also bring in a gift to the storefront if you want, unwrapped gifts, and then they go out on the shelf. This year we're going to receive like 100 Christmas stockings that a group is making, so that was pretty awesome. I received a call already on that. So in your packet is the information, a little letter from me, of course, explaining the program, an application to fill out. It gives you different ways that you can help out. And then in the back, it's a green sheet that lists our intake locations. So if you have a place to post that, please do help get the word out. We'll also be sending out flyers to the young students through the schools. I'll be getting my information to Jared soon. Our flyer's ready to go on that. If you have questions, I'd love to tell you more. See me after this wonderful breakfast. Thanks, Nita.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you. You know, it always amazes me because generally Deb will provide us with a list that we post out for our members before our holiday mixer of some of the things that, you know, they need the most. And it always gets me when I see children who just simply would like a blanket, and I'm not kidding, a blanket and a pillow for their bed. The need is great, so we're honored and happy to be able to help support and help raise funds and gifts and things for these families, especially at the holiday season. If ever you've been in a position where you couldn't provide something that time of year for your kids, even if it's something simple like a pair of socks, it's a tough thing to swallow. So, okay, so we're going to start doing our door prizes and our 50-50.